Hey parents, this is our 4th week in our You'll Be Glad You Did series, and this week we'll be talking about God's forgiveness. Most of the teaching up until this point has been about helping students make decisions about sexual purity now to prepare them for potentially charged situations that they'll face in the future. But the reality that we have to face is that even students in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade have possibly made decisions about their sexuality already. You might be thinking, this isn't going to apply to my child. But the reality is, someday they might find themselves in a situation where they're looking for God's forgiveness, or they'll have a really good friend who is. And before they get into that situation, we want them to know how God sees them after they've made a mistake. Or maybe if that's where a student already finds themselves, we want them to know that God has forgiveness readily available for them. One thing we've been stressing throughout this entire series is that God's opinion of you, His love for you, is not based necessarily on your behavior. Just because you make really good decisions or really bad decisions, God sees you the same. Because your relationship and your standing with Him is based on who He is and what He has done, not whether you are some sort of standard of good enough. The scripture I'll be teaching out of this week is 2 Samuel chapters 11 and 12 and Psalm 51. 2 Samuel tells us the story of David willfully bringing Bathsheba into his bed, getting her pregnant, then trying to cover up his sin by having her husband killed and bringing her into his home as a wife. Psalm 51 gives us a beautiful picture of what David's repentance after that sexual sin looked like. One thing we've seen students get really confused over is what exactly repentance means. If they mess up, they pray, they say they're sorry, but their life doesn't change any, and they think that God has abandoned them in that. But what that's really coming from is a false understanding of what repentance is. Repentance actually has 2 parts. One is getting down on your knees, saying you're sorry, praying, and admitting that what you did was outside of God's law. The second part really involves taking intentional steps away from the lifestyle that led you into that sin in the first place. It is through both of those things that a student will finally get to experience God's healing and restoration. Best thing that you can do to prepare for this Sunday's lesson is to really think about your own reaction to what you would do if your child came to you and said, hey, I've messed up. So please, before Sunday, take some time and think through what you would want to say to your child in a situation like that. How your voice would sound, how your face would look. All of these aspects of that conversation will stick with your child for years to come. And you can do a beautiful work in setting up a great example of God's healing and restoration in that conversation. All right, so I'm gonna be a little vulnerable and share a story from my growing up years. So I did not grow up in the church, but my parents just trusted me. They thought I was a good girl. And for the most part I was, but I did make some really idiotic decisions that they never knew about because I was too scared to come talk to them. Because I knew that they had really high expectations for me, and I knew that I hadn't met up, and I was way too afraid of what they would say, how they would react, how they would see me differently, to ever come clean and talk with them about that. I never had an honest conversation with my parents about sex, sexuality, purity, any of that. After services on Sunday, I really encourage you to sit down with your child and let them know that no matter what, you will still love them, they will still be a part of the family, and you will sit and listen to them even if they have screwed up. They need a safety net. Yes, of course there will be consequences. Yes, of course you have high standards for your children. But at the same time, they need to know that you will be there to talk to if ever they need to. Don't assume that your kids don't have questions. They're brimming with questions, and maybe the reason that they haven't talked to you about them yet is because they feel a little uncomfortable. That's really natural, that's normal. But do whatever you can to help create an environment where talking about sex, sexuality, purity, and relating it all to the Bible becomes a normal part of your relationship with your child. As always, we're praying for you, and if you ever want to chat or just have a few questions, Joel and I are both available by phone and email. Hope you have a great week.